2 years ago, the comedian and actor Robin Williams hit the road with a new stand-up routine for the first time in 16 years. 3 months later, he'd undergone urgent heart surgery and was fitted with a new heart valve from a cow, which of course he immediately worked into his routine. As well as being an accomplished actor with a long list of screen credits, including an Oscar for Good Will Hunting, plus 2 other nominations, Williams is the comedian's comedian, and he's on tour in Australia for the first time, with a show he calls Weapons of Self-Destruction. His quick-fire, at times manic brand of humour knows few boundaries, but he doesn't spare himself either, talking candidly, even scathingly, of his 30-year battle with alcoholism and falling off the wagon after 20 years of sobriety. I spoke with Robin Williams in Brisbane today. Robin Williams, I assume this show isn't just about your own preferred weapons of self-destruction. I assume we're all in it.
Oh, yes, everyone. Everything that I've been through the last couple of years is in it. It was put together as kind of, let's talk about it, because things, as I say, are getting really interesting.
For someone as high energy as you seem to be, to have been away from the full kind of circuit of stand-up.
I did do a show in 2002. It was kind of after 9/11. That was a response to that, and it was about 8 years. Yeah, but coming back was great. It is interesting. It kind of, Chris Rock says it's like being a prize fighter. You got to get ready, and you got to be physically ready and emotionally ready, and obviously, you know, intellectually and psychologically ready to get out and get in front of people and do do what you do. The great news is if it works well, great. If it doesn't, not so good. The metaphors are you killed or you die. So those are the two.
When you're in full flight, it's as if the words are struggling to keep up with the brain.
Sometimes, yeah. Oliver Sacks says it's like voluntary Tourette's.
Well, I'll come back to Oliver Sacks a little bit later, but I assume that there has to be a serious discipline behind the free flow, or is it always just a high wire act?
No. I mean, you do have things kind of in the back of your mind, but sometimes you'll get like broken field running where there'll be an opportunity to talk about something, and you'll go off on it. I mean, occasionally somebody will say something, or there'll be something new, and you'll find, you know, a new idea. But yeah, there is behind it. There's thought and preparation, and, you know, ideas to say, okay, but you work them out on stage. You find out pretty quickly what works or what doesn't work. And sometimes the thing is to take the courage to say, oh, this may not be working here, but hold on, it might be working later on. Like the idea of, I tried it once on stage, of Mort Saul. I talked to him today, and he was talking about America as a country looks like it's going to go into rehab soon. And I thought there'd be a rehab for call it empires. Where, you know, you come in, hello, feeling like you used to be top of the world, somewhat not empowered anymore, powerless, really? Come on in. Come on, don't be afraid. These are the French. Allô, we once were it. But now we win the Melbourne Cup, and we try to do all this crazy thing, and now we make great food. The Italians, bene, tutto bene. The Russians, tantesque. We are working slowly through all of our problems.
You forgot the English.
Oh, yeah. Hello. Used to have everything. Now we're just basically horribly literate, incredibly intellectual and bitter about certain things, but moving on, moving through. God bless us all.
You're not easy on yourself in this show, are you?
No. You know, as an alcoholic, I talk about, you know, some warning signs, you know, like DUIs in a cul-de-sac, things like that. The idea of, you know, have you been through it, to talk about it and see, like, you know, this is what you go through. Heart surgery, you know, alcoholism. I went to rehab in wine country just to keep my options open. And the idea of, you know, these are things you got to talk about.
Well, you got your own vineyard.
Yes, that's like Gandhi owning a delicatessen. Yeah, what are you doing? This is not for my consumption.
So you were dry for 20 years.
Yes.
Why did you fall off?
I was in a little town in Alaska. It wasn't the end of the world, but you can see it from there. And it was like all of a sudden I thought, I could drink. It's also that same thought you have if you look off a large building and go, I can fly. And within a week it was like, gone, you know. And now, you know, I realize I can't. So that was the gift, you know.
How vividly can you remember falling into the trap in the first place with cocaine and alcohol?
I don't vividly remember anything from that. It's like there is this thing for alcoholics called a blackout, which isn't really a blackout. It's more like sleepwalking with activities. And I believe it's your conscience going into a witness protection program, going, you're about to have sex with a hobbit. I've got to go now. Good luck. I'm checking out. I'm leaving the body on, but we're not going to remember anything. Good luck to you. Take care.
But do you remember getting into it?
Getting into it? No.
Was it a gradual thing? Or?
Yeah, it was very gradual. It was just, and you're off, you know.
Oh, yes.
You're off and running. And then the alcohol kicked in and decided, and then eventually you realized, I can't. I remember stopping it on my own because I was about to have a son. And I didn't want to be coked up going, hey, Dad loves you. Here's a little switch. I'm going to throw up on you. You know, you don't want to be like that. And I had to kind of go, but I did it alone. So that was why it was, you know, 20 years without any help.
Of course, there are people who would say, why did you ever need cocaine?
Yeah, it's a bit redundant.
You're as fast without it as
Totally.
as the heaviest cocaine addict would.
Yeah, it's that weird thing. But I think I did it because it would actually allow me not to talk. It was like, you know, reverse medication. You know, why they give Ritalin to hyperactive children is that idea of kind of, oh, okay, I don't have to talk to people. It just kind of shuts you down, which is, you know, word self-medication.
And I've read that your friend John Belushi's death from an overdose was
that scares you.
A bit of a rude shock for you.
Totally. And that, but more importantly, my son. I think that was the beginning of kind of, you know, thinking outside the box of, you've got a responsibility, and it's more than you.
How hard was it to break the grip the second time around?
Not hard once you go to rehab. I mean, rehab
Really?
is, that's the beginning of kind of, you know, the idea is you got to surrender. You got to just say, I can't do it. Because, you know, I went to rehab with a lot of doctors and psychiatrists. And the more intelligent you think you are, the harder it is to let go. You think, I've got a solution. I'll just drink a little bit. It's like saying, I'll just partially circumcise myself. I'll be fine. And then you have to go, nope, you lose. You can't do it. You need help. And at that point, that's the beginning. And then, you know, once you do that, you're out and run.
The world has come to see you as a brilliantly high-octane comedian who tried his hand at acting, but you actually trained as an actor first at Juilliard.
Totally.
In New York. Is one a passion more than the other, or do they go
Both,
hand in glove?
they feed each other. I mean, the comedy forces you to deal with fear and the idea of putting yourself out there. And the acting is more like going within and finding all the different parts of, you know, a character, and especially when you're playing really dark, strange characters like in 1 Hour Photo, where you get to explore behavior that you do prison time for. You know, it's that idea of you're playing a killer, really. And part of your brain's going, that would be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah, and that's the joy of acting, where you get to explore all sorts of different, you know, all those, you know, aspects of human behavior. And then you could take that back to the comedy in terms of the concentration. So they feed each other. They're symbiotic.
Can we talk briefly about some of the people who've influenced your work, or whose work you really enjoy? For instance, I saw you with Jonathan Winters on David Letterman. It was clearly a very strong bond there.
Oh, he's the best.
Dad, did you sign those papers? Did you sign the papers? We need the house, Daddy. Did you sign the papers? Are these the ones? Huh? That's it, but you signed it upside down again. I still love you.
He's a wonderful friend, and he just had heart surgery, and he's doing great. He had 2 stents put in, and I called him. I said, John, how are you? I had an operation performed by Japanese surgeons. It was cheaper, but I told them I was in the war. They weren't pleased. And whenever I talk to him, it's really wonderful. He's the best. He's, for me, he's the Buddha. He is the teacher, very powerful influence.
Who are the actors you've enjoyed?
Oh my God, working with. Here's a weird thing. I got to Marlon Brando taught an acting class, very briefly, and I got to take it. I mean, he said, you know, if you come in here, it's going to be crazy. I don't know what I'll say because you'll have me laughing so much. At one point, his dog was basically licking his ass. He went, well, wouldn't that be great behavior to see on a film? I went, wow, if you're that flexible, way to go. But it's, you know, of the actors I've worked with, Max von Sydow, Walter Matthau, all of them. It's been great, you know. I mean, you just walk away from the experience. I mean, the boys in Good Will Hunting, and they are boys. I mean, you know, both of them, Matt and Ben. It was an incredible experience. And you walk away, there's been no movie that I've walked away from, even the ones that didn't do well, where you don't go, I learned a lot. You know,
what about Dead Poets Society with with Peter Weir?
One of the greatest experiences. It was incredible. It was the true learning experience, because Peter's more than a director. He's a teacher. I don't know anybody who's worked with him that comes away going, well, that was nice. You come away a different person. He infuses you. Like when we were doing that movie, he gave us poetry. He gave us music. He played music during takes that would just get you into this incredible spirit and very inspiring. I remember when the boys stood on their desk, I was going, this is very powerful. I looked over and I saw a Teamster crying, and I went, okay, this is really working. Ravel is crazy. I don't know why. The boys on the desk is giving me crazy.
Captain, my captain.
Sit down, Mr. Anderson. You hear me? Sit down. Sit down.
This is your final warning, Anderson. How dare you?
But it was, this inspirational movie where it's the first time I did a film where people were touched beyond the movie, where they want to change their lives, and I hope for the better. Many people said they became teachers. I went, oh, good luck, especially picking that profession in America where that's going to be you have to be dedicated to be that.
Is there anything you can't find something funny in? Is there any no-go area for you?
I don't know. You'll find it when you do. You'll know the moment you do it, and I don't want to explore that most of the time.
Hasn't happened yet?
There'll be things where you might get someone, you'll say something and people go, oh, and you go, you don't want to really, I'm not out to, to attack people in that sense, but you want to talk about things, but sometimes there will be people offended or hurt by it, and you will go, okay, I've said it, and you have to go, in the process of doing comedy, not everyone will find it funny.
Well, you did offend Kevin Rudd.
Yes, I did, and that was by accident. It was weird. I was trying to talk about, the Australian accent and saying it's a combination of English and I used the word redneck, and I went, oh, and then the woman, I went, okay, good old boy. Or we can say Welsh samurai. But the idea that all of a sudden I offended the Prime Minister of Australia, and the next day he offended the governor of Alabama when he said perhaps Mr. Williams should spend some time in Alabama before he calls someone a redneck. Cut to the governor of Alabama saying perhaps the Prime Minister should spend some time in Alabama before he realizes that we're, decent, hardworking people. Now I've created a linguistic war between two accents that people are going to have trouble. I'll tell you right now. No, right now. Let me tell you right now. No, coming after you. And meanwhile, a Navajo code talker is going, I will talk to them to try and bring them back to a place of peace. Kevin, he meant no offense. It was mainly linguistic.
Well, Kevin Rudd is no longer Prime Minister.
I know, he's going away.
Well, he's still around.
He's still around.
He's Foreign Minister.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm.
Congrats. Good job, Kev.
You've got so much success behind you. Is there anything left undone?
Susan Boyle.
Right.
Susan Boyle on ice. No. People said, when they said that, who would play her in the movie, they went, me. I went, oh, no, please, that's taking Mrs. Doubtfire way too far. I don't know what's left to do. I'm doing a play on Broadway in the spring, so that'll be interesting. It's a very weird piece called The Bengal Tiger in the Baghdad Zoo. That'll be a discipline. That'll be 8 shows a week.
So what drove that decision?
A really interesting play, kind of talking about the war in Iraq and about pretty much everything. It's a bit like Godot in Iraq, which sounds like, what? But I think it's not an easy play, but I don't do things easy.
And how's your health now? How's the heart?
Good. The heart is good. The bovine valve works. It's nice. I give a great quart of cream. People go, what does that mean? Stop. Not in nice. Don't go there.
Robin Williams, thanks very much.
You're welcome, boss. Thanks.
Why did he actually try to convince him, I have to starve for my son, I have to starve for my life to get my life back and all of these things. So that's like an example for not doing that. Okay, drugs, they have lots of effects on you. Drugs can affect your brain, can affect your behavior, can affect some health problems. Now, drugs can cause nausea, can cause vomiting, can cause abnormal pain, and other things. So nauseous, vomiting, abnormal things. Nauseous, you have you want to throw up or something like that. Also, if we're talking about drugs, they can cause liver failure, okay? And that's a very important problem we need to take care of. Lots of people are facing the same problem nowadays because of lots of disease we have. Also some strokes, seizures, some other things. Okay. Add to this that it can affect your brain. It can actually damage your brain very bad. All the drugs, nicotine, cocaine, marijuana, and all of these drugs can affect you very bad. No matter how happy you feel when you actually start doing drugs, trust me, the consequences for something like that is very bad. So that's one of the problems that we should take care of, in our society. We should raise awareness. we should talk about what are like the problems. What are the problems that happens because of drugs? Because we have a lot. We've mentioned the brain, we've mentioned health and everything. Now let's watch this video about drugs and the effect on drugs on our lives. Let's watch this video.
This one's for you and me, living out our dreams. We're all right where we should be. With my arms out wide, I open my eyes, and now all I wanna see is a sky full of lighters, a sky full of lighters.
By the time you hear this, I will have already spiraled up. I would never do nothing to let you cowards fuck my world up. If I was you, I would duck or get struck like
that no one was like in that situation before, because it's a very bad situation. It gives me like the chills, like to think about it, that one of you or anyone like was on drugs or something like that. Now as we actually were talking about this problem, provokes us to speak and to say like about everything that we have, like to talk honestly about everything and so on. Okay, now let's go for next, okay, and let's talk about some other thing like in our life we need to take care of. Now, our environment. Now, the environment is very important. Why? Because we live in this environment. We need to take care of this environment. Now, we need to help this environment to be healthy. Now, our like land is not feeling well. We have to pay attention that like our environmental problems like nowadays they have increased to the max. So we need to pay attention. We need to actually think about some solutions to solve some of these problems. We're going to demonstrate some of the problems with some videos so we can understand some like how to try to solve these problems. Now let's pay attention to something. While I'm listening to the video, I need you to pay attention that I need to listen well, carefully. I need to understand what is he saying, what is she saying. I need to try to find the new vocabulary I heard. Like if I heard a new vocabulary, I try to find it. Now if you want to go through YouTube, through that thing, like press on it, press on the video, go through YouTube, and it will be easy for you to find subtitles for the things and lots of things. Also, as we said before, we have lots of sites we can use to improve our English, like TED.com, TED.com. So that's a nice site. It has lots of talks and you can watch it with English subtitles, and you can actually learn some new stuff, learn some new skills about your English and about your language and lots of things, even about your real life. Now, let's try to talk about some environmental problems we have. Now, what are the environmental problems that we have? Like, what's that? Now, if we're going to talk about environmental problems, we need to list some of the most important environmental problems. Okay, what's that? Like, one of the most important environmental problems is this one. Loading. Okay, yes, it's the acid rain. Now, because of our factories and because of like the smoke, when that smoke goes to the sky and the clouds, it actually produces acidic rain. What's mean of acid? Acid is something like can burn the skin. This acid rain can harm the forest, can harm us, and can harm any organic living thing. So the first problem we're talking about here is the acid rain. The acid rain is very harmful to our environment, to us, to everyone. Okay? Now, let's go next. Death of forests. Now, let's pay attention. If we have lots of acid rains, we have like this problem. That's of course because the acidic things, we said it kills the organic level things. So if we're trying to kill organic level things, so what are the forests? The forests are like the major source of our oxygen. We breathe. We breathe through forests. So if we lost this, we lost our like only somehow filter from like carbon dioxide in our life. That's very bad. Now we have another problem. And this problem also one of the most important problems. Now the global warming. The global warming is the main cause of our drastic change in temperature. Now our temperature is rising high and high and high, and that's because of the global warming. And to try to introduce this, we have like an animated movie that's talking about the global warming, and it's talking about, okay, about like what's that thing and why it's happening to us. Okay, it's short animation movie, let's watch it.
Nothing can stop me from trying. Baby, you know that maybe it's time for a miracle. 'Cause I ain't giving up on love. You know that maybe it's time for a miracle. 'Cause I ain't giving up on love. No, I ain't giving up on love. I just wanna be with you, 'cause living